My educational memoir is all about my struggles through math class, while focusing on 7th and 8th grade. Although it's about 7th and 8th grade, the math struggle started way before that. Math has never been one of my strengths, has always been difficult and hard. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table through countless years 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, sitting with my parents trying to do math class and just ending up in tears because I didn't understand it. I couldn't do it. They could only help me so much, and it was just frustrating. My 7th grade year, the race was white student being me and my teacher. Similar race, although the school was pretty diverse. It's mainly focused on myself and my teacher, which was the same race. Class is all relatively the same throughout my class and throughout the school. Gender in this case is female to female, although if it was male to female, male teacher, it may have had a different effect. I say this because in 4th grade, I had a male teacher, and it was probably one of my favorite teachers. He was pretty good at catching our attention and keeping our attention and making what we were learning fun, and he went out of the box and beyond what he had to get us to learn what we need to learn. So it might have been different if my 7th grade math teacher wasn't a woman, but rather than a male. But in this case, the gender is female to female. Age, me being an immature middle schooler, which is at that age you're trying to find your place in the class, your place in the school, trying to fit in and be cool, trying to figure out who you are as a person or what you want to do, and it's a very awkward stage, which probably doesn't help the fact. Ability in math wasn't so strong. It hasn't been strong. So even before I walked into that class, I knew that math was a struggle and it wasn't going to be easy, despite the teacher. Me being a weak math student made a huge impact on how I viewed the class before it even started. Although I tried to come in with positive thoughts, it quickly turned to negative thoughts, and my frustration with math didn't help with my success that year. The teacher being not being able to connect with her on the same level also made it pretty difficult. I think like in past years before 7th grade, while it was still difficult, I had a different connection with the teachers, which made it somewhat better. But because I despised my teacher and couldn't stand her, and I already hated math, it was just impossible, and I went from here to being like positive, I can do this, to being like, forget this, I can't, I don't want to do it, and just doing what I had to do in order to get by the school year. As far as, so I guess this basically focuses on gender, age, and ability. And as far as Ivy Ken, how was my experience like a cookie, and the ingredients. So in my educational memoir, there were 2 cookies, 2 different recipes, 2 different school years. So I had 1 cookie for 7th grade and 1 cookie for 8th grade. While they were similar flavors and similar ingredients, because they were clearly 2 different years and 2 different experiences, there's some parts of the cookie, or not the cookie, of the recipe that has to be different to accommodate for the different experiences. So with the 7th grade year, we can start with the eggs, which I said was my teacher, Miss Yu. Then there was another big ingredient, which was the flour, which was me and my involvement in the class and with my teacher and trying to succeed in math. The third big ingredient in any good recipe is sugar. And the sugar I related to my happiness and what I was feeling toward math and how I was doing in math, the happiness and I guess the ease of the ability to complete the math. So there was, I guess, not so much sugar because the happiness wasn't so great. So they were kind of, the cookies aren't giving me as sweet because there's not as much sugar. Without happiness and there can't be very much success, which we'll get to, and sweetness of the cookies. And then there's like the vanilla and the baking powder and the baking soda, and I guess you add a little bit of salt, and all those ingredients is only small bits and pieces that are so important, are different events that happen throughout the year, different things that I remember. And in this case, for 7th grade year, they were all pretty negative. Besides the first, I guess, for like a week or so, everything went into a steep downfall. So they were still there, but they weren't plentiful. And then in this case, I said the chocolate chip cookies. And the chocolate chip cookies are the success of the year, which was 7th grade. They seem to be missing, or there wasn't enough chocolate chips added because there wasn't enough success to create more chocolate chips. And all these ingredients together creates the dough of the cookies, which is the math class in general, the whole entire year, creates the dough. When the cookies are baked and after you go to taste them, while they are still yummy cookies, but when you taste it, you can tell that there's just something missing. You may not be able to put a finger on what it is, but you know that it just doesn't taste right. There's something more that should be there, but it's not quite, you're not actually sure what it is, it's not dominant. And then 7th grade year ended, and there was the summer, and lots of sunshine and happiness, and good positive thoughts, and different flavors of cookies, and things are great, and I have to go back to school, and I find out I have the exact same teacher as I had the year before. Now we have a whole new set of ingredients, a whole new recipe to create a similar cookie, but hopefully with some changes, and hopefully it's a better cookie. So then the new school year starts, and this time the cookie start with a little bit of spice, the bad taste, because the experiences from the year before are still fresh and it's still vulnerable, and you think you have one experience with the same teacher that you're going to have a similar experience the next year because you just did it all and nothing's going to change, and so that bit of negativity creates, even before the class begins, the cookies have started, a bit of spice and bad taste. So then you still have the eggs again, the same eggs you had the year before because it's the same teacher. You still have the same amount of flour because it's still me being in the class and my involvement, and the same thing now, it's just survival and trying to get through this year. Not much I can do, the same teacher, I can't get out of it, I gotta do the class. So then the year goes on, you add more ingredients, you add the sugar, and this is the same as my happiness, but this year was different. There was more happiness, there was more success, there was more good experiences, so there's more sugar, which we don't know yet, but in the end will create sweeter cookies. And then you have your vanilla, your baking powder, your baking soda, the salt, all that little stuff, different events. In the beginning, they started out negative, and so there wasn't so much, but as the year went on, they soon changed to positive, and so these create a better tint, I guess you could say, to the cookies, a better taste. Call that negativity. It changes to positivity, which makes things better. And then you also have your chocolate chips again, but this time the year was better. the relationship between the eggs and the flour, myself and my teacher, was better. So there was more success created, which means that more chocolate chips can be added. And again, all this creates the dough, which is the math class in the year. This time it's 8th grade instead of 7th grade. And so you still have that dough, which then is baked and creates cookies. Before it's even baked, you know that because there's more sugar added, there's not as much negativity, there's more chocolate chips. It has to be much closer to perfection because we already had cookies that were pretty good. And when you add more sweet things, more sugar, more chocolate chips, you gotta be close to perfection. So then you bake them and you taste these ones, and they're much sweeter. They're sweeter. I personally like softer cookies. Like me soft chocolate chip cookies because the year turned out great, and even beyond 8th grade year, Miss U made me see the light in math, and it had a huge impact, a huge change for the rest of high school and college. So the little sweet cookies made a huge impact, and just changing those few things made a big difference. So this my year started out rough, and without the mistakes and failures, it's hard to succeed. The failures are what make us stronger, and they make us more hungry to succeed. Stella, come here. Sorry. Dogs freaking out. They make us stronger and hungry to succeed. They make us want to get things out we want to see. When you bake, it's the same thing. You have to try different things until you get the recipe that works. So yeah, the failures that make us. So without my failures in math, I wouldn't have been able to come to love math as much as I do.